Every time I had a problem, it's a pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds. And I just kept going.
Penny must have somebody sneaking her food. She figured out how to manipulate the system.
I have made myself a prisoner in a room inside of my home.
When your weight is out, and then we can start doing psychotherapy to try and find a way to get through to you. Have to deal with what is driving you to eat. That's the hard part, and you don't want to. Your games. And if you miss your appointment again for whatever reason, I'm not taking any excuses. Kids, you need to start making changes now. I want you to walk.
I could be upset and I eat my food and it'll soothe my pain. Help. I gotta pee.
I've died soon too. But now look at me. So I'm losing a lot of weight.
And I'm struggling to pay to get down to Texas.
LaShanta White. Everything changed for LaShanta White when she was 13 years old, as she had gotten pregnant and was going to be a mother despite her young age.
I could be upset and I eat my food and it'll soothe my pain. Help. I gotta pee. I hate what my life has become because I'm living in constant misery now. And with all this weight on me, my whole body feel like it's constantly crushed. My weight has gotten so out of control. It's taken almost everything from me.
That, on top of the trauma of her parents' divorce and hurtful ex-boyfriends, caused her to seek solace in food, which is what caused her to weigh in at almost 700 pounds at the beginning of her episode of My 600 Pound Life. While that is not an atypical story for the people who star on My 600 Pound Life, White's episode left viewers reeling for a variety of reasons. Additionally, White had a combative attitude towards Dr. Now, and at one point, she hid fried chicken to avoid being caught eating it. That, on top of her manipulative ways, earned her recognition as one of the most controversial stars of My 600 Pound Life. But not all was lost at the end of White's episode, as Dr. Now approved her conditionally for weight loss surgery, providing she stood up on her own 2 feet. The one gone wrong. Brandy and Candy Dreera were twins who had been struggling with severe obesity for most of their lives. Tired of being overweight and wanting to accomplish something with their lives, they decided to seek out the help of Dr. Yunan Nalzaradan on the popular reality show My 600 Pound Life. Their journey began with a trip to Houston, Texas, where they met with Dr. Nalzaradan to discuss the steps they needed to take to better their lives. And Brandy, you're 587 pounds. Candy and Brandy have created their own world where they can hide and go to food together. To put you on a 1,200 calorie a day diet. Concern is that their heart may not be strong enough to survive the procedure. A little bit abnormal. Your heart is not pumping adequately. Brandy weighed in at 588 pounds, while Candy weighed in at a staggering 604 pounds. Dr. Nalzaradan recommended gastric bypass surgery to help them lose weight and improve their health. However, during Candy's surgery, complications arose. The doctor had to pull her out of surgery and place her in a recovery room to closely monitor her. Unfortunately, her condition worsened and she suffered a heart attack. A code blue alert sounded throughout the entire hospital, and Candy was rushed to the ICU. Nurses reported that her blood pressure had dropped and she turned blue. Doctors informed the family that Candy had stopped breathing and that if she did survive, there was a possibility that she would have brain damage. They placed her in a medically induced coma and on ventilation to help her breathe. The cause of Candy's health complication was a pulmonary embolism, a potentially life-threatening condition that occurs when a blood clot travels to the lungs.
It's gonna be fine, but you never know.
She did some walking, she stopped breathing, and her heart stopped.
The doctors worked hard to save Candy's life, but the situation was critical. Despite the odds, Candy made a complete recovery without any brain damage. It was a miracle that she survived, considering the severity of her condition. The doctors praised her resilience and determination to fight for her life. The experience was a wake-up call for both sisters, and they worked hard to make lifestyle changes to improve their health. They followed Dr. Nalzaradan's guidance and maintained a healthy diet and exercise regime. Cynthia Wells. When the camera started rolling for Cynthia Wells' episode of My 600 Pound Life, her loneliness was palpable. But as a single mum of 5 children, she also had a ton of responsibility, something that was becoming more difficult because of her weight.
It occurred that I needed to take custody of Ukai is 11, Jordan is 10, and Shaquille is 7. My family is my life.
At £610, Wells was becoming less motivated to leave the house and more exhausted when she had to move. When it came to following Dr. Now's program, however, Wells wasn't willing to be compliant for very long. She managed to earn herself the reputation of being one of the more bull-headed stars of My £600 Life during her tenure on the show.
So what's going on with that?
I've been kind of sick the last couple of weeks.
The infection is not an indication of falling off your diet.
I haven't been going to the gym. I eat once a day.
Okay, if you're eating once a day, you're gaining 4 pounds. We got a real...
At one point, calling Dr. Now's program bullsh and returning home to Oklahoma City. By the end of her episode, Wells' weight loss had stalled.
I have to lose 30 more pounds. Whatever. I'm over it.
Get back on track.
And I'm struggling to pay to get down to Texas. But this doctor, my kids look at me every answer because I'm trying to get my ass down here. And if this is what it's gonna turn me into.
The people who care about you, so keep going in that direction.
But I'm sacrificing. Look what I'm sacrificing, Clarence.
Giving up for you. I'm sacrificing for you. I'm putting my job on the line for you too. So that is not just...
And she was in deep denial about her emotional eating habits. Fortunately, things were better in a follow-up episode, as Wells seemed much happier. She continued to lose weight and was down to 361 pounds, a big improvement. Lee Sutton. Occasionally, family members or romantic partners who weigh 600 pounds or more appear together on My £600 Life, which was the case for Lee Sutton and Rena Kisser. The couple, who met and fell in love at a bariatric rehabilitation facility, were eating themselves into dangerous situations when their episode began. Although they were both able to eventually lose weight and get weight loss surgery, it became evident fairly early on that Sutton had anger management issues. That resulted in him being abusive to his partner, both verbally and physically. It got so bad that Dr. Now sent him to see a therapist so he could control himself better. But Sutton was still being cruel to Kisser in their follow-up episode, no matter how hard Kisser tried to be kind and to de-escalate his behavior when his temper flared up.
At the hospital, you were down to 546. So you lost only 9. She hasn't even had her bypass yet. What in the world is going on with you?
I guess I'm a gastric bypass,
To lose weight.
To lose weight.
And you're not losing weight.
I don't understand no more than you understand.
What are you talking about? You're choosing to overeat and you think it's okay?
Things, I mean...
We gave you the instruction that you need to follow and you're not following. How in the world somebody...
I'm playing any game. I throw up constantly. I eat what I can...
do when you overeat now.
I think my problem is I'm holding a lot of fluid. I can't hardly pee.
You don't know. And you think that you're not eating and you're getting...
I don't want to get malnourished either.
It means the surgery is working to hold you back when you make bad choices. And it's...
The story of Sutton's awful behavior continued after their episodes concluded. Sutton reportedly cheated on Kisser with a married woman, and Kisser ended the relationship, according to now deleted social media posts. But it appears as though she took him back in the end. Sheenie Murray. When viewers first met Sheenie Murray on My £600 Life, she was deeply sad about suffering through 2 miscarriages, which is totally understandable.
I'm hungry. I need food immediately. God is gonna take me as far as he want me to. Fried shrimp is one of my favorite foods. I have cravings about 3-4 times a week. I feel like since my body is bigger, that I have to eat more than others.
That experience can be extremely traumatic to not just the person who endures one, but her partner as well. Given that she was also physically misconducted by a cousin when she was very young, it's no wonder that she turned to food for comfort. But there was hope, as Murray went to Dr. Now to help her get both her life and her weight back under control. But alas, she was unwilling and unable to stop compulsively eating.
And at this rate, it's feasible for you to end up getting into 1,000 pounds within the next 5 years. So if you can't get around a little, are you getting your own food or go to the kitchen? You eat whatever, whenever. We are going to eat only 3 times a day, no snacking in between. And you're going to have only protein, no carb.
Despite her claims of gaining water weight, something Dr. Now pointed out was clearly not the case. Murray was never approved for her weight loss surgery. She continued to eat foods that were not on Dr. Now's program, including a famously illicit pizza, and never dealt with her underlying emotional issues. Despite leaving Dr. Now's care, Murray set up a GoFundMe for her weight loss surgery. She later filmed herself doing an eating challenge from her hospital bed. Oof, Penny Sager. Penny Sager appeared on My 600 Pound Life in the earlier part of Season 2, rendering her one of the reality show's OGs.
When you become as heavy as I have, it's hard. Sometimes it feels like I'm dead. This is my bed. This is my bathroom. This is my dinner table. I might as well be a prisoner in jail. Addiction has become my life. Every time I had a problem, it's a pound, 2 pounds, 5 pounds. And I just kept going.
What do we say besides goodbye?
I don't know.
See you later?
And to come out and load her into that. After we get her out of her bed, I have to bring the mattress in and put in the bed.
All right. Okay. I do.
Take your time.
Straight out.
You gotta pivot to get feet first, so however. All right, guys.
Yeah, I'm clenching my butt cheeks because that's the only thing holding that mat in place.
This is a journey of a family, of a child who wants his mother. You are the one who will lay out this journey safely for all of us.
But unlike her fellow co-stars that season, such as Zalyn Whitworth, Christina Phillips, and Paula Jones, Sager didn't comply with Dr. Now's diet and exercise plan. Although she did drop 40 pounds while hospitalized at the beginning of her episode, which qualified her for weight loss surgery, that was the only weight loss documented for Sager. In fact, by the end of her episode, she managed to gain weight after surgery, which is pretty mind-blowing.
I'm starting to be very uncomfortable without the oxygen.
Okay. Seems like she played a role of being a victim and encouraging family to be enabler. So you're missing your roles?
I'm absolutely missing a role.
Gonna see how the thing will go with the first operation.
She'll be okay.
She'll be okay, bud. You gotta think positive. That's why we pray. The operation we're gonna do today is called sleeve gastrectomy. She's having so much challenge with weight loss.
Do you have any plan to walk? No? There is true miracles in the world.
I'm very concerned about Penny's behavior. She's not losing weight anymore. Penny must have somebody stinking her food. She figured out how to manipulate the system.
Things weren't much better in her follow-up episode, in which Sager claimed she was doing much better and seeing improvements in her health. Of course, Dr. Now didn't agree with that assessment, and matter-of-factly explained that Sager is addicted to food and is delusional about any imagined progress. As for where Sager is now, that's anyone's guess. Reports suggest she keeps a low social media profile and that any photos they procured do not show much difference. We hope she finds a way to get healthy in the future. Mercedes Cephas. Of all of the stars on My 600 Pound Life, Mercedes Cephas' story is among the most heartbreaking.
I've gotten so big that it's hard to do just about anything. I can't believe what I've let my life become. And every day, it gets worse. But I have 2 young kids that I have to take care of.
When she was only 11 years old, her father began physically misconducting her, which caused her to have feelings of shame, guilt, and sadness. By the time she was 15 years old, she was up to 300 pounds and using food to help her deal with the trauma of her past attacks. Obviously, this had a huge impact on her life.
That was the age when my father started sex. And it wasn't just me, it was my sisters too. It started with touching, and then it was more. All of it down. And I doubled in weight by the time I was 13 and was over 200 pounds by then. Because one of the people who's supposed to protect you most is the one hurting you.
But when confronted about her eating habits by Dr. Now, Cephas insisted that she wasn't overeating. She said she just wasn't eating the right foods, even at 773 pounds. And when she finally did move to Houston months later, she'd only dropped just under 50 pounds. Subsequently, she gained weight, showing she clearly was not following Dr. Now's program. And by the end of her episode, after she'd only lost around 80 pounds altogether, Dr. Now was adamant that she be admitted into the hospital, giving her 3 days to decide. Pauline Potter. Pauline Potter was already infamous before she appeared on My 600 Pound Life. That's because she had herself certified as the world's heaviest woman in the 2011 Guinness Book of World Records, had appeared on Dr. Phil, and had made tabloid headlines when she had lost weight by having physical relations up to 7 times a day with her ex-husband.
I have to stop and just take care of her and help her.
Dylan is 21, and his full-time job is taking care of me.
By the time Potter got to Dr. Now's office, she weighed 678 pounds, and her health was beginning to really suffer from it. But Potter was resistant, even telling Dr. Now that he was overreacting when he wanted to hospitalize her to get her weight under control.
So I see that you're 670 pounds. Who buys those?
I'll send my son, but I know what you're gonna say, and it's really not.
So you already know the solution, you already know the answer, you already know the problem, but you should go to a zero-carb diet. And I want you to lose.
Potter continued to be obstinate, even after she had weight loss surgery, repeatedly butting heads with Dr. Now, much to the ire of viewers. Fortunately, Potter did eventually get herself together, and in her follow-up episodes managed to lose 300 pounds, with skin surgery being on the horizon. She also regularly updates her Facebook page, where she's looking slimmer and slimmer all the time. So while Potter might have been a handful, to begin with, it looks like she turned it all around. Stephen Asante. Justin and Stephen Asante, aka the Asante brothers, were featured with Dr. Now Zaradan and were a part of the show in Season 5, Episode 13. As we know, Dr. Now puts his patients on strict weight loss regimes that test their willpower. The diets ensure that they will be viable candidates for the surgery. The Asante brothers were able to follow the regimen and get their surgeries, and their journeys were shown in a drama-filled episode. Before that, Stephen got himself kicked out of the hospital for substance abuse and verbally abusing medical staff. Justin left the hospital but stuck to his routine and eventually qualified for the operation. Stephen and Justin developed their food addictions due to rough upbringings, which led them to turn to food for solace. Stephen is infamous with My 600 Pound Life fans because he's considered an unsavory character. Justin was much more reserved throughout the show. Safe to say, Stephen did not impress after making it to the show. People thought of him as rude, crazy, and mean.
Off myself and I it up.
Tomorrow afternoon, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna fix it.
Okay. I'm really happy that you're taking Dr. Now's help, and it is a very diet soon too. But now look at me. So I'm losing a lot of weight. I know. Throttle to get the surgery. Yep. Okay, don't do what I did before surgery, because that's probably why I woke up in pain. Well, it's gonna take a while to rebuild, okay? And we may never rebuild, but thank you. I do love my brother. I want to support Justin through this process the way he's been supporting me throughout the whole entire.
His personality put off many audiences, and he refused to follow the prescribed eating plan. He made things difficult for Dr. Now Zaradan, who threatened to throw him out of the show. Unfortunately, Stephen Asante never took the opportunity of a lifetime to lose weight. However, he successfully underwent sleeve surgery and lost significant weight. After leaving My 600 Pound Life, Stephen decided to stay out of public life. However, he had already gained a considerable fan base that allowed him to create a YouTube channel where he posted live events. Asante then met a woman named Stephanie Sanger online in 2018 and confessed his love for her. When the pandemic hit America, Stephen contracted the virus on the Christmas Eve of 2021. He then went to hospital after showing signs of the virus, but the doctors also found out that Asante had developed pneumonia. Luckily, Stephen survived the two conditions and thanked his followers for keeping him in their thoughts. But Stephen has not lost much weight since leaving the show. Instead, he reportedly maintains his weight at around 500 pounds. Angela Johns.
I have made myself a prisoner in a room inside of my home. The life I'm living right now is miserable. I used to leave the house maybe once a week. It's becoming harder to walk. I don't want my husband, Justin, to help me because I don't want him to cross over from being my husband to my caregiver.
Season 7 of My 600 Pound Life brought long-time viewers of the show one of the most controversial stars in its history, Angela Johns. Like others on the show, Johns has a tragic backstory involving physical hurt, non-consensual misconduct, drug addiction, and even prison time. As a result of her multiple traumas, Johns turned to food for comfort, eventually weighing in at 643 pounds by the time she sought Dr. Now's help.
Angie.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Hey, Angie, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You came a long way from being over 600 pounds to almost half of what you weigh now, huh?
Yeah, I've been walking. I don't use a wheelchair no more or nothing.
But not only was Johns downright combative with Dr. Now during her episode, she claimed he was punishing her and said his program was bull. She also tested positive for opiate use and heavy cigarette smoking, but lied to Dr. Now about it. On top of that, she was manipulative to her family members. After losing only 48 pounds and continuing to abuse drugs, Dr. Now gave her an ultimatum: go to rehab or end her weight loss journey with him. Still delusioned, Johns didn't go to rehab, and she claimed Dr. Now was lying about everything. Johns then set up a GoFundMe to help with her expenses, despite her non-compliance on the show. That has some guts. James King. Some patients on My 600 Pound Life are so far gone they're almost completely immobile, unable to care for themselves, and confined to their bed because of their weight. That was the case for James King, who weighed in at 791 pounds at the beginning of his episode, as he used food to cope with his childhood trauma. But it's hard to have too much sympathy for King, as throughout the episode it's shown that he behaved selfishly. For one, he had his daughter drop out of school so she could take care of him. And his father, despite the fact that he suffered a stroke, took out a second mortgage to finance his son's journey to Houston. But King refused to change. He was continually enabled by his girlfriend Lisa, who couldn't stop bringing him food. It was so bad that Dr. Now called Adult Protective Services on her when he found out she bought food to him in the hospital in his follow-up episode.
Okay, then where's the swelling coming from?
Well, what I think he's trying to say is I've been measuring it at home and he's not peeing out as much as he's drinking.
You think it is because you drank a lot of liquids, but in reality, you're gaining a lot of weight again, and that's the problem. And you think it's all of this is fluid, there's no fat in here?
This is what I've noticed recently.
And you two are delusional. If you think that you can give me the same story again, your leg is swollen because you gained a lot of weight. So it's getting bigger and worse.
She ain't giving me no food.
I couldn't tell you
And the only thing
what...
I'm eating is what she's bringing me.
You don't think your weight has to do anything with your eating habit?
No, I don't.
What do you think your weight come from, thin air? If she doesn't come visit you for 5 days and get your weight down 50
It ain't got nothing to do with her.
If she stays away for 5 days, we'll have you lose 20 to 30 pounds.
I'm not going to bring him food. The last time he was in the hospital,
All right,
sir, I
you're gonna
swear to
let
God,
me
I
help
did
him?
not bring him no food.
You just want to blame it on her.
No, both of you. Is that a deal?
No. She's my wife. I've been with her 25 years.
At this point, there is nothing more we can do for James unless he and Lisa start to cooperate with the program. As long as James wants the food, that this is not a situation that they can intervene in. It's a drug, and it's killing James just like any other drug.
Even though King had multiple organs failing him. King has since passed away. Angela Gutierrez. When viewers first met Angela Gutierrez on her episode of My 600 Pound Life, it was readily apparent that she'd been through a lot. Having lost custody of her children due to child endangerment and attempting to take her own life.
Lost her weight, and he said, and you're no different than others, but I absolutely am different from others. I know what I've done, so I'm not upset about what he said because he can only see me chest up. He feels like it's kind of a waste going down there because I'm still dieting, I'm still losing weight.
Gutierrez lost herself down the rabbit hole of compulsive overeating. By the time she made the journey to Dr. Now with her ex-boyfriend, she weighed in at 608 pounds. That's in spite of the fact she'd had weight loss surgery before, a rarity on the show. But when Dr. Now charged her to lose weight by following his diet plan, Gutierrez faltered, unable to comply with his demands. She started missing appointments, eventually dropped out of the program altogether, and returned to her home in Ohio. But she still had one more check-in with Dr. Now, which she did via video chat.
A bit of an issue again, because you missed your appointment again, saying you were sick, but turned out you weren't.
Out to Texas, but I do plan on being out there to hopefully get an apartment.
Getting back to us, and you've been avoiding my calls, making excuses, and lying to us.
With you, I don't know why it took so long. It seemed like something was happening every other week.
So you keep making excuses.
When you said you want me to come in a week, I have been serious. I am not like others. I'm not coming because I'm not losing weight.
20 pounds since I saw you. Last month it was 70 pounds. So you're saying you lost another 50?
I don't know, sir, but I have been following my diet and I'm doing great.
To this program, you're not special, and lying to me about your weight is not going to get me to tell.
In it, she told him that she'd lost 120 pounds, to which he responded that she was delusional.
You what you want. You have one option. If you want to do this and save your life, come back down here and show me and break through all your lies and delusion. If not, then that'll be it for you, because I'm done paying. Either your health and having your life is priority or not. We can't make the choice.
That's never a good sign. Gutierrez updates her Facebook page regularly, but it's unclear if she's lost any weight since her episode. That's all for today's video. See you next time.